Trofeo Kima done. What an absolutely amazing race. 2 years ago I failed to make one of the cut-offs, so this year my aim was just to finish the race, and I managed to achieve that in about 10 hours 16 minutes. The final cut-off time's 11 hours, so I had about 45 minutes to spare. This has to be one of the most technical races there is out there, and going along the via ferrata, it was really difficult to actually maintain any speed. The other issue for me was running at the altitude. I really felt that. Once you start, you've got about 15 kilometre long uphill where you gain about 2,000 metres up to over 2,800 metres in total, and then you basically stay above about 2,500 metres for most of the race until the final descent, 2,000 metres back down to the finish line. So for me, I was really feeling the altitude. Also some quite tight cut-offs. I managed to get inside the first two comfortably, but only had about 8 minutes to spare at the third one. So that was a little bit of a bit of hard work to make sure that I got under that cut-off. After that final cut-off though, I was actually going really well. I was steadily overtaking people, so I knew that my pacing and fueling strategy had worked really well. I was making use of the Mountain Fuel sports jellies. I'd learned last time when I did this race that up at that altitude, because I'm breathing a lot harder than I normally am, when I eat bars, I find it really hard to actually chew and swallow them. So by using the gels throughout, once I got above a certain altitude, above 2,000 metres, that meant that I was able to take the food in really easily, which was a real benefit as well, because I saw other people fading towards the end of the race, whereas I was getting stronger. And the final descent, I probably overtook about 10 or 15 people. About 5 or 6 of them overtook me again once we got onto the final road section, and it became more of a runner's race rather than a trail runner's race. I was really happy as well with my knee. I had real concerns going in following the injury I picked up at Lavaredo, and when I did Sweden 2 weeks ago, I did feel it towards the end of the marathon there. So I did think, with such a technical course, so much ascending and descending over really technical terrain, that I may feel it, but I didn't have any pain at any point, and I absolutely hammered the final descent because it was just feeling fine throughout, which I was really happy with. It is worth pointing out as well that 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned, I did the Sweden Extreme Triathlon, so I'd cycled 205 kilometres and run a marathon up a Swedish mountain, and my legs felt great throughout. I think part of the reason that my legs felt so good was the fact that straight after Sweden I was making use of Mountain Fuel's recovery fuel, and also I've been using the Currens Sports, the blackcurrant extract pills. I'll put a link to some articles down below about them, but they seem to have really helped over the last year. I've been using them, and they've made a real noticeable difference to my recovery times as well. So although I didn't do any long runs in the last 2 weeks, it was mainly just about recovering from Sweden. My longest run was 1 hour. Actually going into the race today, I felt fine. I was able to run the first 7 kilometres, which was uphill, and then going up into the more technical part, I was still feeling fine. I didn't have any leg pain, which I was really happy about. In terms of my performance, as I said, I was aiming to get under the 11-hour time cutoff, and achieving that was fine. I didn't do very specific training for this race. The first half of my year was all about building up to Lavaredo, and then after Lavaredo it was about recovering and turning more to focus to triathlon for Sweden, so getting a lot more cycling and swimming in. So I hadn't done very specific training, and it was noticeable once I got off the runnable sections and onto the more technical climbing when it's over 25-30%, I was losing a lot of places there, and weren't normally on the descent, especially when the technical I gained places. It wasn't until the final descent I actually felt that I'd found my sort of running legs. I was on the earlier descents, I was a bit tentative, I think, partly because I was concerned about my knee, but also I just hadn't done enough technical terrain. So if I was to do this race again and actually try and get a good time, I think the key areas I'd focus on were looking at getting more specific training, so getting more time up in the mountains, doing technical, very steep climbs and descents. And also I think I'd want to try and spend some time at altitude, because I really noticed that as soon as I get above 2,400 metres or so, I really start to struggle, and I can just see people who I was running with at lower altitude, as soon as you get a bit higher they seem to pull away and my breathing gets a lot heavier. So living close to sea level, obviously that's not very beneficial. I did make a video of the race, I'll put a link to it up there. My wife very kindly filmed some footage for me. I didn't take the GoPro this year because I want to be travelling as light as possible. Did you do Kima? I'd love to hear how you got on and your thoughts on the race. Please leave a comment down below. Also, I've got a lot of content coming online in the next couple of weeks, so please subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss that. I'll see you next time.